Hi, welcome to Life Skills with Louie. I'm Louie, and today we are talking about the skill within connecting to clear, burning bridges and building new ones. This has to do with changing behaviors. If you haven't watched the introduction to behavioral analysis and the actual video on behavioral analysis, probably good to do so this makes more sense. Also, the introduction to this section, connecting to clear, will help you understand this whole section and how it's connected together. And finally, the introduction to the entire video series will help you to understand all 5 sections of skills and how they work together and when to use each section. So to dive right into burning bridges and building new ones, first, I'll show again the chart that we use for connecting to clear, all the skills related to getting to great, and the awareness of mapping your experience. Then there's an action you do that you'd like to stop doing. Then there are consequences to this action. And with the burning bridges and building new ones, we are talking mostly about events relating to this, but also a bit about sensations. And that'll make more sense in a second. But the big area that we're discussing with this is about the events that happen to you. So in this, talking about burning bridges, building new ones, and there's an elephant here with an elephant's trunk, which will make sense in a moment. Events that happen to us can be triggers that start a whole cascade that draws us to a behavior. People who have worked with substance addiction know this well, and will use the term people, places, and things. And I think that pretty much covers it, that when you're around a certain person or a certain place or a certain object, it is like an event that will trigger your system into a reminder of doing a certain behavior, and it gets the process going. And burning bridges is about seeing if it's possible to actually sever, when possible, these events. Sometimes if you're very vulnerable to a certain behavior and you really need to stop it, there may be certain people, places, and things that you cannot currently be around. The elephant has to do with a metaphor that I have found very helpful to understand this. And I learned this through dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, but I'm pretty confident this was a metaphor of wisdom passed down over time, which has to do with, if the garage door is open even a crack, the elephant can get all the way in, because the elephant's trunk can get its way under that small little amount of the garage and then open the whole garage. And that is the way it works with addictive patterns, habits that have a big hold on us, is even small cracks in our vulnerabilities can become the thing that triggers the whole cascade happening. So if you're really looking to stop certain behavior, and there are triggers of certain people, certain places, and certain things that tend to make it happen, it would be wise to get rid of those if you can. And that's the essence of the burning bridges skill, is that you really stop entry points for the behavior to happen, and you remove them from your home. You remove things that will bring on the event and make it more likely. And if you have a substance issue, having substances in the home would be a real vulnerability constantly. You're trying to fully shut that door, burning bridges with people, places, and things that make it impossible to stop a certain behavior. Building new bridges is also just as critical, because you will never keep a new behavior and move in a new direction if there aren't things that are reinforcing you and making life worth it. So having connections with people, places, and things that are totally separate from that old behavior and that aren't even compatible with that old behavior is extremely effective. And so I really encourage you to consider what activities and people and environments can you put yourself in that are very different and that generate new feelings in you and a new experience, because that is critical for sustaining these changes. The final part for building new bridges has to do with sensations. This is an internal trick you can use if an urge comes up to do a certain behavior that you're really trying to stop. You can compete with it with a different sensation. To give some examples, there's external or internal. So I might, if I have an urge to, which is the example I'll use, watch a show when I'm giving an example of doing a behavioral analysis. I know it's the evening and I know watching that show is going to cause issues for me, but the urge is there. I might call a friend and have a really happy conversation, or listen to a certain song that soothes me, these kind of external experiences. Or I might do some sort of a practice from somatic restructuring and do a breathing practice that's going to put new sensations into my body that will compete with that urge inside. This can really work and can take you from a place where you're very focused on this behavior, this well-worn habit, and you do something new, you shift externally or internally, and your attention becomes captured by that new sensation, that new external sensation or that new internal sensation, and you're able to let the urge pass without acting on it. So, building bridges and burning old bridges is a critical part of fully letting go of old behaviors and moving into new ones. Thank you.